Taking Whizlabs pretests for solutions architects. I've already got engineering. DevOps doesn't exist. Development. Okay. I can do like software development or web development. And close enough. Okay. Cool. My chat, activity feed, no activities. My chat, no users. Alright. Okay, so we are studying for our AWS Solutions Architect Associate Cert. Which is to say we're trying to learn a whole bunch of AWS stuff. So, okay, so in the domain of high performance architectures, deploy HPC, machine learning in Linux EC2. Inter-instance, so communication between instances, very critical. Attach a network device to the instance so that computing performance can be greatly improved. Which of the can achieve the best performance? So if we have enhanced networking and we're using a enhanced networking enabled AMI, then we can just do that. I want to say that you can do EFA or ENIs for the instances, but you need to have a kernel that can support it. So I'm going to go with enhanced networking. You're in charge of migrating your actual on-premise Postgres to AWS. Requirement database must remain fully operational. Which of these services? So, database migration service. This allows two-way sync between databases. A company is planning on testing a large set of IoT-enabled devices. These devices will generate a large amount of data every second. You need a scalable and durable real-time data streaming service to capture the data generated from these services. Which service would be most appropriate for this purpose? So large set, IoT, large amount of data every second, scalable, durable, real-time data streaming service. That's like Kinesis to capture data generated service. So there's also like Greengrass and there's AWS IoT. In the end, it's underneath it, it's Kinesis. And that's what you're looking for here. Why is it not EMR? That's Elastic MapReduce. We're not doing a MapReduce here. We're collecting generated data. SQS is just a queuing service. SNS is a notification service. So neither of those are good for moving or storing a large amount of generated data. You need to stream it using data streams. Okay. Your company currently has a set of non-production EC2 instances hosted in AWS. To save costs, you want to stop the EC2 instance when the average CPU utilization percentage has been lower than 10% for 24 hours. signaling that it is idle and no longer in use. So why 10 hours? Oh, lower than 10% for 24 hours. So you're going to pay for an extra day to determine it's idle? So it wouldn't be Lambda. It wouldn't be SQS. CloudWatch logs will just store the state change, but it won't do anything about it. So you want alarms that monitor and alarms that trigger. So, am I streaming on YouTube? I am. Okay, cool. I should probably pop out this chat so that I can see it in case somebody were to join me over on the YouTube side. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. That's not the right one. It's that one. Okay, cool. So we can put this, can I mark this always on top? Always show full. Okay. Let's put that. Okay. This doesn't show that I'm streaming. That's surprising. Streamer mode. Enable streamer mode. Keybinds, notifications. Sure, why not? Whatever. Okay. Push to talk. Oh. Eh. Cool. Streamer mode's on. Cool. And I am streaming on YouTube, apparently. Cool. Oh, I should probably change this to AWS Solutions. Solutions. Architect. Whizlabs pretests. Taking pretests ahead of the AWS Cert exam for Solutions Architect Associate. Save all that. Okay, cool. Bum 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 bum. Ooh, 15 megs a second up. So that's some stuff. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, cool. All right, you have instances hosted, private subnet, NA VPC. There's a need for instances to download updates from the internet. As an architect, what change would you suggest to the IT operations team that would also be the most efficient and secure? So the way I've done this before is to add a NAT gateway or to add a NAT instance. Nope. Create an EC2 instance, download, update. No. VPC link to the internet. No. You have an S3 bucket that receives photos uploaded by customers. Object is uploaded. Event notification sent to an SQS queue. You have an ECS cluster, gets the message from the queue to do the batch processing. Queue size may change greatly. What metric would you use to scale up or down the ECS cluster capacity? So this would actually, object is uploaded, event notification sent to an SQS queue. So the queue is your queue, which obviously SQS is your queue. So the queue size changes greatly depending on the number of incoming messages. In this case, you would want to evaluate the number of messages in the queue and scale based on that. So you'll need to know approximately how fast you're pulling messages off the queue, how fast you're processing them. Then you can make a metric out of the number of messages in your queue. So, all right. You have an EC2 instance in the AWS US East 1 region. Application in the instance needs to access a DynamoDB table located in US East 2. Connection must be private without leaving the Amazon network. Instance should not use any public IP. So you have an application on an EC2 instance, needs to access DynamoDB in another region, and you want it to go over the Amazon network. In this case, you should peer your VPCs. So configure inter-region VPC peering, create a VPC endpoint in US East 1. Or you can create a peering connection between, yeah, that's the right one. And then assuming that US East 2 already has a VPC endpoint for the DynamoDB service. All right. Okay. You have planned to host a web application on AWS. You create an EC2 instance in a public subnet, which needs to connect to an EC2 instance that will host an Oracle database. EC2 instance, public subnet, EC2 instance, Oracle database. So the database is always a private subnet. The public subnet EC2 instance will be able to connect as long as you have something to bridge those subnets. Database security group, which allows the incoming traffic only from, so that's correct. EC2 instance, no. EC2 instance, public subnet, Oracle database, private subnet, database security groups. And that will allow you to bridge the subnets. Cool. All right. EC2 instance hosts a Java-based application, accesses a DynamoDB table. EC2 instance is currently serving prod users. Secure way for the EC2 instance to access the DynamoDB table. So in general, you'll want to use IAM roles in order to attach the role to the instance. Then the instance can query its metadata endpoint to get creds based upon its role, and then it can connect to the DynamoDB. So, So in this case, they want you to know that it's roles that you assign to these two instances, not keys or groups. Okay. Okay. You are designing a website for a company that streams anime videos. You serve this content through CloudFront. The company has implemented a section for premium subscribers. Section contains more videos. You want to ensure only premium subscribers. So use cookies, right? In this case, we'd want to use signed cookies because the signed cookies allow us access to the premium content. Company has set up an application in AWS that interacts with DynamoDB. It is required that when an item is modified in a DynamoDB table, immediate entry is made to the associating application. So we have an application at AWS that uses DynamoDB. When an item is modified in a DynamoDB table, we want something to trigger so the entry is made in the associating application. So in this case, I would use a DynamoDB stream. That will output all the changes in the Dynamo table on the stream, and then we can use a Lambda function triggered off the stream. So that will make the associated change. Okay, number 12 of 65. Working as a consultant, e-commerce, organizations planning to migrate to RDS. Automated backup helps restore the database to any specific time during the backup retention period. What action has been performed as part of the RDS automated backup process? The automated backup helps to restore the database to any specific time during the backup retention period in RDS. So having used RDS, I know that they create a full daily snapshot. And with that snapshot, you can reset or restore your RDS instance at any time. I don't know that it does anything with transaction logs, but I'm sure it does. Let's check. So RDS automatic backup transaction logs. Oh, it does do transactions every 5 minutes. So storage volume snapshot, database instance, backup window, full snapshot every 12, full daily snapshot during the backup window, storage volume snapshot every 12. So we know it's every day. There you go. You can configure an Amazon S3 bucket as the origin for a new CloudFront distribution. You need to restrict access not to view the files by directly using the S3 URLs. Files should only be fetched with the CloudFront URL. So in this case, we need to set up an origin access identity associated with the distribution, and then that will block all access to contents of the bucket except through CloudFront through the origin access identity. Okay, as a solutions architect for a multinational organization with more than 150,000, oh, I should probably say it in Slack. What is my YouTube streamer URL? Live streaming. Boom, boom. Can I get a copy of the create highlight video, stream marker, share? Oh, copy, close. Boom, boom. Or Okay, where was I? I should also do this and custom create a poll. Where am I? Whatever. Okay, let's continue. All right, as a solutions architect for a multinational organization with more than 150,000 employees, management decided to implement real-time analysis. You're tasked to design an architecture that will receive the inputs from 10,000 sensors, with swipe machines sending in and out data across the globe. Each sending 20 kilobytes of data every 5 seconds in JSON. The application will process and analyze the data and upload the results to dashboards in real time. Other application requirements will include the ability to apply real-time analytics on the captured data. Application must be scalable as per the requirement as the load varies and new sensors are added or removed. What combination of AWS services would be used for the above scenario? Okay, so multinational. So this is a global concern. 150,000 employees trying to do real-time analysis. You need to receive streaming data every 5 seconds from 10,000 sensors. You need to apply analytics on the captured data, process of the captured data in parallel and durable. Must be scalable. Analytic processing results are stored in persistent data storage for data mining. Okay, so I would probably suggest doing something like Kinesis streams, custom streams application analyze data, move analytics outcomes to Redshift using EMR, or data streams to ingest sensor data, stream application to analyze the data, move analytics outcomes to RDS using EMR. SQS, Firehose, EMR. Okay, so do we use Kinesis streams to ingest the swipe data, and then Kinesis streams applications to analyze, ingest, custom to analyze, and move. SQS, Firehose to no, Firehose doesn't analyze; it just streams. EMR to copy, that doesn't work. So these are both the same though. Ingest swipe data, custom stream to analyze the data, ingest, analyze, move. Ingest, analyze, move. All right, we'll go with that. And next, you have a local data center on-premise that stores archived files. The total amount of files is 70T. Data needs to be transferred to S3. After the data transfer is finished, the data center will not be used. So in this case, because we want to do a managed upload, we have a couple options here. We can use Snowball if we want to do that. We can use Global Accelerator. In this case, we're going to use Transfer Acceleration because we're just doing a one-site to one-site upload. There's actually another service, Data Sync, that would be better for this, but okay, you have designed an application that uses AWS resources such as S3 to operate and store users' documents. You currently use Cognito, identity pools, and user pools. To increase usage and ease of signing up, you decide that adding social identity federation is the best path forward. How would you differentiate the Cognito identity pool and the federated identity providers? So in this case, they're different identity pools in Cognito. You can choose a federated identity provider to authenticate an associated Cognito identity pool to authorize. Sign via Cognito, then through, they're the same, called different things. Identity providers and identity pools. Federated identity providers and identity pools are used to authenticate services. That's not true. They are the same, Cognito, but so you use a federated identity provider like Google to authenticate, but then you associate it with an identity pool that contains the resources that those users are authorized to use. So I'm going to go with D. Okay, you have a web application hosted on an EC2 instance in AWS that users can access across the globe. Ops team has been receiving support requests about the extreme slowness from users in some regions. What can be done to the architecture to improve the response time for those users? Web application, EC2 instances, ops team, slowness. Okay, so we could vertically scale by changing instance types. We could horizontally scale by adding more instances. We could add Route 53 to route to the healthiest, lowest latency instance, or we could place EC2 behind CloudFront. That doesn't work. So CloudFront is for S3. It's a CDN. It's for putting resources out in the world. This is a web service. It's an application. So in this case, we would want to horizontally scale. So we would just want to add more instances to support the load. Okay, you currently have your EC2 instances running in multiple AZs. You need to create NAT gateways for your private instances to access the internet. How would you set up the NAT gateways so that they are highly available? So highly available is an interesting here. That means that we need more than one so that we have some failover if one of them dies. How would we do that? We could use an auto-scaling group to scale the NAT gateways. That's not a bad idea. That uses health checks and would replace the NAT gateway, assuming that it died. We could create two of them, place them behind an ELB. We could put one in each AZ. We could create one in another region. Creating one in another region would help us at all unless we're using some weird cross-region VPC. A NAT gateway in each AZ isn't necessary because we can use cross-AZ communication to use a single NAT gateway. We could have two of them behind an ELB that would round robin between them. That doesn't guarantee high availability, but it gets us there. Or we can use an auto-scaling group. Do we need an ELB here? A NAT gateway is an internal resources. I don't feel like we need an ELB. We really just need an auto-scaling group. Company wants to have a fully managed data store in AWS. It should be a compatible MySQL database, which is an application requirement. Which of the following database engines has the best throughput? Well, this is an Aurora question. They're asking you to choose Aurora so that they can sell their stuff. Which Aurora is really good, so. Solutions Architect, online shopping application running in a VPC on EC2 instances behind an ELB. Instances run in an auto-scaling group across multiple availability zones. Application tier must read and write data to a customer-managed database cluster. There should be no access to the database from the internet, but the cluster must be able to obtain software patches. Which VPC design? Okay, so we need online shopping application running in a VPC. EC2 instances behind an ELB. The ELB will be in your public subnets. Your EC2 instances can be in private or public. They will run in an auto-scaling group across multiple availability zones. Application tier reads and writes to a customer-managed database cluster. Okay. No access database from the internet. Cluster must be able to obtain software patches. So you need private subnets for the database cluster with a NAT gateway. Public subnets for the application tier and NAT gateway. Private subnets for the database cluster. So we're going to say that the public subnet for the application tier and the NAT gateway. Private subnet for the database cluster. Expected that only certain specified customers can upload images to the S3 bucket for a certain time. How would you suggest fulfill that requirement. Yeah, so this is a pre-signed URLs use case. You would give a pre-signed URL with the TTL for the period of time that would enable you to upload. Company requires to use AWS RDS to host MySQL. Database will be used for production purposes. Expected to experience a high number of read-write activities. Which EBS volume would be ideal for this database? So anytime you need production resources on EBS and you have some kind of SLA or expectation of high read-write activities, you should use some provisioned IOPS. Okay, you own a MySQL RDS instance. Instance has multiple AZ. The instance has a multi-AZ instance and another availability zone. Oh, okay. So you're using RDS in multi-AZ mode. As business grows, more and more clients come from Europe. Most of the database workload is read-only. So if we wanted to reduce the load on the source RDS instance, we would actually create a read replica. And that read replica should be as close to the queries. Multi-AZ instance to be a read replica. Move the no. Figure read-only multi-AZ. So we'll just create a read replica in EUS2. Okay. The company has a set of web servers. It is required to ensure that all logs from these web servers can be analyzed in real time for any sort of threat detection. What could be the right choice in this regard? All logs from web servers analyzed in real time for threat detection? Upload all logs to SQS? No. Upload all logs to Kinesis, to CloudTrail, or to Glacier? Analyzed in real time eliminates Glacier. Analyzed in real time eliminates SQS because you won't be able to afford the queue. That leaves us with Kinesis or CloudTrail. CloudTrail logs from web servers. So Kinesis or CloudTrail? Real time says Kinesis. CloudTrail doesn't do a whole lot of analysis, but it can. You can have it query or launch a Lambda to do stuff and do notifications, but I think Kinesis is what they're looking for here. Following architecture: EC2 instances in US West 2, EC2 instances via ELB or Autoscale, ASG. EC2 instance behind a classic, ELB. Conforms to well-architected framework? You would just need to make sure that you're spreading across multiple availability zones so that you have HA in the instance that an availability zone goes offline, and then you would have a well-architected resilient framework. Okay, your company manages an application that currently allows users to upload images to S3, picked up by EC2 instances for processing, and then placed in another S3. In an area where the metadata for these images is stored, what would be an ideal data store for this Dynamo? Use Dynamo to store metadata alongside an S3 bucket. I am going to go grab a cup of coffee real quick. I will be right back. Okay, and I am back with a fresh cup of coffee. I don't talk a whole lot about myself normally, but I am a big coffee fan. My beautiful wife, I am lucky enough to say, found Trade Coffee, and not sponsored or anything, but man, do they give us some good beans. And I have a really cool coffee maker, so I get to drink some delicious coffee. But anyways, enough of all that. Let me come back to onboarding. If you are ready to take care, you may pay for the okay. Sorry, just catching up with work. Ooh, should probably investigate the update cert workflow in IFP. Make sure it is not generating new UIDs when it hosts the updated document. Okay, sorry, that's a consulting gig that I just need to answer some questions for about Elasticsearch. If you haven't used Elasticsearch before, highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun, but it can be a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. No question there. Okay, where were we? Let's see. Okay, application team, quickly provision a development environment consisting of a web and database. What would be the quickest and most ideal way to get this set up in place? Well, hopefully they're using infrastructure as code. They can just run a CloudFormation or a Terraform or an Ansible or something like that. In this case, let's see, spot instances, reserved instances, Lambda. So in this case, they would want to use Beanstalk. Hopefully they've already made some containers and know how to use Beanstalk. But everything else here, well, you do Lambda and RDS. That's actually even better. Because in this case, Lambda would be your web tier. You would just write a simple response workflow in Lambda, put an API gateway in front, have that. Yeah. Anyways. Okay, third-party sign-in has been implemented in your web application to allow users who need access to AWS resources. Users have been successfully logging in using Google, Facebook, and other third-party credentials. Suddenly, their access to some AWS resources has been restricted. What is the most likely cause of restricted use of AWS resources? Most likely, let's see, the identity providers no longer allow access to AWS services. That's probably not it. AWS change services allowed? No. Federation protocols are used to authorize services and need to be updated? Nope. So this was the most likely. IAM policies for the resources were changed, restricting these accesses. All right. Design cost optimized architectures. Company is an application that stores images and thumbnails on S3. Thumbnail needs to be available for download immediately. Additionally, both the images and thumbnails are not accessed frequently. What would be the cost-efficient storage option that meets the above-mentioned requirements? So in this case, you want to use S3 infrequent access, And the idea here is that that's the cheapest you can get without slapping it in Glacier. Glacier's expedited retrievals are going to be more expensive than the storage cost in S3. So, okay. A security audit discovers one of your RDS MySQL instances is not encrypted. For shame. The instance has a read replica in the same AWS region, which is also not encrypted. You need to fix this issue as soon as possible. What is a proper way to add encryption to the instance and its replica? So adding encryption, so in this case we're going to go RDS add encryption to existing database. Snapshot. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. So create a snapshot, copy DB snapshot with encryption enabled, restore new DB instance from the encrypted snapshot, read replica, new DB instance, encrypt, launch, create DB snapshot, encrypt the newly created snapshot, launch a new instance, and its read replica, promote the read replica to be a standalone. No. Okay. Copy DB snapshot, create a DB, copy the DB. No. So you do this. You create a DB snapshot from the RDS instance and encrypt the newly created snapshot. Then you would launch a new instance and read replica from the snapshot. Okay, you have an application hosted on AWS consisting of EC2 instances launched via an autoscaling group. Notice these two instances are not scaling when the traffic is high. What checks should be done to ensure that scaling occurs as expected? So this could be a metrics issue triggering the scaling. This could be a scaling policy. This could be limits. This could be a lot of things. Which checks should be done to ensure the scaling? So in this case, you would probably just want to make sure that you're using the right metrics to trigger the scaling, because when the traffic is high, but if you're only looking at like memory usage, you know. Okay, a media firm A uses AWS infrastructure, global presence, organizations acquired by firm B, which also uses AWS. After the merger, accounts of both organizations need to merge to create and manage policies more effectively. As a consultant, which of the following steps would you suggest to the client to move the master account of the original media firm to the organization used by the merged entity? And I have to use 3 of these. Okay. So we would want to invite firm A master account to join the organization in firm B as a member account. We would want to configure another member account as a master account firm A so that the firm A master account can join. And then or would we? Okay, so I think this is about the merge more than anything. And in the merge, you don't want to leave a bunch of orphan resources, so we're going to remove and delete. Why am I not configuring another member account as a master account in the firm A organization? I don't think it needs one because we invited the firm A master account to join as an organization member. And then the master account as a master account because there's only one master account per org. All right. Your company has designed an app, requires it to store data in DynamoDB. The company has registered the app with identity providers for users to sign in. What must be in place such that the app can obtain temporary credentials to access Dynamo? So in this case, you just need an IAM role that allows the app to have access to Dynamo. that should be it. All right. Company has an entire infrastructure on AWS. It requires to create code templates to provide the same set of resources in another region in case of a disaster in the primary region. Which service can be helpful in this regard? Okay, so if you have your entire infrastructure in a single region and you need code templates, for disaster recovery, you want CloudFormation. You're working as an architect, web servers, and all AZs in EU Central. Web servers provide news for users from Germany. Application deployed, several static IP addresses. Need to create a record set for the application. How would you configure the record set in Route 53? So they're not telling me a whole lot of what they want, but they have web servers, they have multiple AZs, they have a single region. They're deployed in multiple EC2 servers with static IPs. So we need some sort of multi-value or weighted or latency or geoloc. They're all in the same region, so geoloc isn't it. Weighted would be if we're moving between some sort of differentiated instance. There's no differentiation here to change the weighting. Multi-value answer, I don't know what that is. I'm going to go with a latency. So why would I go with latency? Because that's going to evaluate all the instances in the region and choose the lowest latency one to shunt traffic to. I'm just making sure that yep, okay. Next. All right. Recent survey revealed large spike logins for your account. Sensitive data stored in encryption S3. Data has been encrypted, susceptible to fraud. Has not been encrypted. Okay, which of the following is true regarding server-side encryption of KMS? So server-side encryption of KMS, yeah, data is encrypted at rest. Your company has a set of EC2 instances hosted in AWS. It is mandatory to prepare for disasters, come up with the necessary disaster recovery procedures. What would help to mitigate the effects of a disaster for the EC2 instances? Mandatory to prepare for disasters. What would help mitigate the effects of disaster for the EC2 instances? If you use autoscaling, that'll replace, and then you always have a minimum number of instances running. If you're not using autoscaling and you use an ELB, well, once all the instances are dead, you're dead. CloudFront doesn't work for EC2, and AMIs, yes, but you need AMIs for autoscaling. All right. Next question. Company currently hosts a Redshift cluster. Should ensure that all traffic from and to the Redshift cluster does not go to the internet. Which features can be used to fill? So Redshift has enhanced VPC routing for this. Company has a set of Hyper-V machines and VMware virtual machines, planning to migrate these resources to AWS. What should they use to move these resources to the cloud? Hyper-V and VMware. So VMware just partnered with AWS to enable this type of migration. If you use the, I don't know if it's Server Migration service. I don't think so. AWS Server Migrations. Oh, I guess it is. Another SMS server migration service. Okay. Yep. I guess that's what they're looking to these days. All right, you've implemented AWS Key Management to protect your own data. Global headquarters in US East. German and Japanese users cannot get KMS. So KMS master keys are region specific. Participants, none. I mean, I love live streaming. I love this so far. Just I wish people were jumping in and I had some input to bounce. But anyways, a company with a set of admin jobs in the C# programming language is moving its infrastructure. Be an efficient mean of hosting admin-related jobs in AWS. So being that these are admin jobs and they're in .NET Core, this is essentially asking, hey, can we run this in Lambda? Yes, you can. Singapore-based architect firm, S3 bucket, architecture drawings, firm works globally. AWS accounts are created, users in all these accounts access S3 for architectural drawings. AWS organization created for several accounts of the development team. Team has applied an SCP, that's a service control perimeter. And the master account of the organization to allow access. Okay, so the SCP can only apply to users that authorize with AWS. So it will allow access to S3 buckets to all accounts within the organization. That'll include root users. But it will not grant access to users outside the organization unless they're added to a identity pool like incognito. So that's going to give us B. Hired to implement a system for a movie theater company. System will allow the user to rent movies for a limited period of time. In order to do this, the user will log into an application, pay to rent the movie. The link will be sent to the user through email. The requisite here is only to allow the user to see this file through CloudFront for a limited period of time. This is another signed URL issue. Okay, I am going to stand up and stretch for a minute. Ugh. I will be right back. I'm going to go grab a thing. I'll even swap my scene, because that's more interesting than an empty chair. I am back here momentarily. I am going to be going and watching the baby, so I can get some lunch. Let me answer this question real quick. So remove both, no. Resources and same, no. Create a resource in the, no. Move the destination development account, share resource with it, okay. Sharing has not been enabled with AWS organizations. Which of the following can be done to share the EC2 dedicated host from the production account to the development account? The development account needs an EC2 dedicated host. Production account has subscribed to an EC2, is not currently using it. Resources, create a resource share. No, sharing has not been enabled. I don't know. Remove the destination. No. I want to say they're automatically shared. Create a resource share in the production account. Accept the invitation to the development account. That sounds right, actually. I think that you have to accept it. AWS organizations sharing is what I'm looking at. AWS organizations sharing. Share resources. So enable sharing with AWS. Communicating using AWS region. Create a resource share. When you create a resource share, you add resource share, choose a permission associate, specify the principals you want to access. So yes, create a resource share, accept the invite. All right, I will be right back once I am done watching the baby. So probably 10-15 minutes. I just saw that I have somebody who joined the chat. Welcome, Nico Cage. Unfortunately, all of the above was not one of the possible answers. I am so excited to have somebody join the chat. I don't know why my Stream Manager stuff didn't show me that you were there, but okay, let's continue. Global company, Amazon Aurora database to store large amount of customer data. Database deployed AWS account owned by the development team. AWS account within organization A. Database needs to be shared with accounts in organization B. Which of the following can be done? So management account of organization A, share the database with AWS accounts of organization B. Aurora, organization console database resource shared to organization. Management of in the management AWS account of organization A, share the database to the AWS accounts of organization B and resource access manager. So I don't think you need to share it multiple times. So it's database resource share it to organization B. Like these are kind of the same thing, but this doesn't say in which organization you're at. So I'm thinking that they mean this one so that you can be in organization A and intentionally share it with organization B. All right. What else? Application consists of the following architecture: EC2, single AZ behind an ELB, a NAT instance which is used to ensure that instances can download updates from the internet. What could be done to better ensure fault tolerance in the setup? Select 2. So anytime that, okay, EC2 instances, single AZ behind an ELB, NAT instance to ensure instances can download updates. We want fault tolerance. We need to add an Autoscale group to the instances behind the ELB. And then we should probably add more instances in another availability zone, right? Because if the availability zone goes offline, then your application's offline. With an auto-scaling group across AZs, then it'll just spin up new instances in the new AZ. And that's fine, because the ELB works across AZs. So, all right. Company has a lot of data hosted on their on-premise infrastructure running out of storage space. The company wants a quick win solution using AWS. There should be low latency for the frequently accessed data. Which of the following would allow the easy extension of their data infrastructure to AWS? Well, so there, they would want to use like a storage gateway, um, which would be stored gateway stored volumes. I am pretty sure. It's a quick win solution, low latency, frequently accessed data infrastructure. So this is gateway AWS gateway storage stored volumes. Yep, volume gateway storage volumes. So that's the right one. Cool. All right. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, I think my viewer left, so I am going to go ahead and go on break to watch the baby while we make some sandwiches. Boop, 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 boop. Let me just make sure all of this is good. Cool. And cool. Okay. Oh, I actually even had a viewer on YouTube. How about that? It's almost like as long as you are streaming for a while, you'll start to get some people wandering in. So that's pretty cool. Google Chrome. I need to go here. Oh, I need to go to OBS, and we're going on break. Be back in 10 or 15. All right, I am back. Let's see. Still nobody viewing, so who cares? Okay. And I have a sandwich. Large medical institute, legacy database, saving patient details. Okay, so we're going to use database migration service with engine conversion to save everything to S3 and then upload it all to DynamoDB. There's actually a better way to do this. You need to ensure all currently... Okay. You can use DMS and do a live update between the two to keep them in sync and therefore validate that all the data is in DynamoDB before you make the cutover, but... Sorry, I'm just trying to finish my sandwich. Delicious, though. I should probably be reading this. So your solution should ensure that the Amazon S3 data is fully synced with the on-premise database. Which of the following can be used to meet this requirement? So the right answer here is, well, hold on. Okay, so transfer acceleration between on-premise and S3, data sync for accessing. So I don't think that's quite right. Data sync for transferring data, while storage gateway for accessing. That sounds right. Snowball edge, S3 bucket, storage gateway. So I don't think that's quite right, because it would be offline while Snowball travels. And transfer for and there is no service named AWS Transfer. It's transfer acceleration on S3 or data sync. So that's why I'm going with B. Okay, company has an application delivers objects from S3 to global users, so why aren't they using CloudFront? Some users have been complaining of slow response times. Use CloudFront. Which additional step would help to build a cost-effective solution to ensure that users get an optimal response to objects from S3? Place it behind CloudFront. Popular blogging site plans to use data sync to migrate all the data from on-premise network file system to EFS. Application constantly updates its on-premise dataset. You need to ensure that all the files saved at EFS are validated for data integrity. How would you set up the data verification in data sync? So you would want to enable it during the file transfers, disable it during the cutover. Because if you get verification during the transfers, you don't need it when you go live. Okay. Company is planning to build an application using the services available on AWS. Application will be stateless in nature. Service must have the ability to scale according to demand, which compute service. So Lambda. Anytime you're doing something stateless, you don't need to go back to a store. Compute only. Use Lambda as long as you can meet the other limits on execution time and so forth. Okay. Large IT company, CloudFront for its web app. Static content for this application is saved in S3. CloudFront configured. IT is concerned about critical files that need to be accessed only by users from certain allow list IP pools. No users should access these files directly using S3. Okay, so anytime you want selective access to S3, and you have CloudFront, make sure you're using an OAI, an Origin Access Identity. Okay, so some critical files need to be accessed only by users from allow list IP pools. That's normally something that we would handle with signed URLs or signed cookies. Most secure way. So, most secure way, prevent access from files directly using S3, and allow access from certain IP pools. All right, so you need to do the origin access identity in order to answer this requirement that no files should be accessed using the S3 URL. So then the question becomes, do we use a bucket policy or do we use object ACLs? So content for applications saved in S3 bucket, CloudFront to provide access. Critical files only from allow. List pools defined in CloudFront. The most secure way, object ACLs. So then you have to be intentional about each object. Okay, sorry. CloudFront distribution for a website. Origin is an S3 bucket, HTTPS between CloudFront and S3. Viewers access content in CloudFront edge locations. You want HTTP requests to be redirected. Okay, so there is the viewer protocol policy. Redirect HTTP to HTTPS. That's what you're looking for. All right, log data in S3, you need to search it. That's what Athena is for. What could be helpful to achieve this efficiently? Oh, you would also use a lifecycle policy, so you're not querying across logs from the entirety of the lifetime of that application, only from, you know, whatever time period is necessary. Plans to deploy batch processing app in AWS, which of the following would help host the app. Batch processing. So in this case, you would want to use ECS or a container or Lambda. So yeah, we would create a Docker image of the application. We deploy the image as a task. Okay. Startup firm has a corporate office in New York, regional offices in Washington, Chicago, interconnected over internet links, migrated a few application servers to EC2 in US East 1. Developer team located at the corporate office requires secure access to these servers for testing before go live. Since the go live date is approaching, IT is looking for quick connectivity to be established. As a consultant, which link option would you suggest as a cost-effective way to establish secure connectivity from on-premise launched in AWS? So the right answer here is like a direct connect, which is like a managed VPN into AWS. But that's not fast. That's slow and expensive. So we need cost-effective and quick. So quick connectivity to perform testing and go live. You would want to use a site-to-site VPN. I feel like that would be link option. Direct connect to establish IPsec? No. Third-party software VPN appliance in EC2 Instance to create a VPN connection on-premise. I mean, that could work, but few application servers. You don't want it on hardware VPN over direct connect to establish IPsec? No. Okay. So it's either B or D. This would probably be cost effective and quicker, but I feel like the AWS answer is probably what they're looking for. So I'm going to roll the dice and call that D. Okay. Company uses KMS, fully managed master keys, perform encryption, decryption operations. As an additional level of security, you now recommend AWS rotate your keys. What would happen after enabling this feature? I believe nothing needs to be done. Because when you rotate your keys, AWS handles everything in terms of encryption, decryption actions, etc. The rotation of the keys is probably done via an alias, and yeah. Company doesn't have a directory service for its intended users, but wants users sign in use the app. Which of the following solution is most cost efficient? Cognito.
Yeah.
Next. Slack. On-premise 5T, MySQL database size to increase steadily, which RDS? Yeah, you would want to use Aurora here. And they have MySQL compatibility. Implemented Cognito services to require users sign up to your app through social identity. Your marketing department wants users to anonymously try out the app. So yeah, you would use the Cognito identity and guest users in Cognito identity. So, all right, your app uses Cognito identity for authentication, stores user profiles in a user pool to expand the availability and ease of sending the app. Team is requesting advice on the lines of OpenID Connect as additional means of authenticating users. What is your recommendation on OIDC identity providers? It's supported. Company is building two-tier web app to serve dynamic transaction-based content. Which services would you leverage to enable an elastic and scalable web tier? Two-tier web app, so that's web app and a database. Dynamic transaction-based content, who cares? Which services would you leverage to enable an elastic and scalable web tier? Sorry, I'm looking at my other browser windows. That's the one I'm on. No, that's music. Too many tabs. No, it's not there. Oh, I must have collapsed it back down. Oh, I did, yeah. Okay. So anyways, 7 playbacks now. Okay, okay. Two-tier web app. Dynamic transaction content. So you want to use some ELBs, some autoscaling. Scalable web tier. They don't care about the database tier. So the web tier would be ELB EC2 Autoscaling. Yeah. instance launched. VPC subnet with network ACL configured to allow all outbound, deny all inbound. Security group of the instance configured to allow SSH. What changes are required to allow SSH? Well, you have deny all inbound, so you need to allow inbound SSH. So yeah, just need to fix the network ACL so that inbound SSH. Okay. Company currently has a web distro hosted using CloudFront. Security falls under scope of PCI. What are possible ways to meet requirements? So PCI means full auditability. So you'll need to enable VPC flow logs and CloudFront access logs. This way you can see who accesses CloudFront and where in the VPC they go. All right, confidently incorrect. Let's see how bad I did. Boom. Hey, at least I passed. Okay, so let's review the incorrects. All right, so I said enhanced networking. They actually do want the Elastic Fabric adapter. Okay, that's fine. 70T transferred to S3. They don't want transfer acceleration. They want snowball. Oh, transfer acceleration is only to CloudFront, not inbound. Okay. Okay, I guess CloudFront in front of EC2. Huh. All right. NAT gateway and each AZ. Okay. Okay. Semantics. It was multi-value, okay. Huh. I mean, you have to use AMIs to do autoscaling, but whatever. Okay. Oh, gateway cached volumes. Whatever. Okay. Not engine, it's schema, but yeah. Yeah, okay. Why during the initial file transfer? Oh, constantly changing data set. That's why. Okay, they're all reasonable. I was close on most of them. I was on the right path, but missed first semantics or whatever. All right, so that is a good pre-test. I think I'm going to end this stream here. I'll probably stream again here in 30, 45 minutes when I do my next pre-test. If you join or you're watching this later, thank you for your time and attention, and I hope to be able to provide you with more live stream experiences in the future. So thank you very much, and I will see you again soon.